Authorities celebrate the launch of citizen judges, but will they increase trust in Taiwan's judicial system? 4 years to fix a bridge, a rural Taiwanese community grapples with the lasting effects of last year's biggest earthquake. Shrinking fruit, Taiwan's pineapple flowers are feeling the cold this winter. A documentary director produces a new vision exploring how Taiwan people interact with the ocean. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Chen. A ceremony has been held to mark the launch of a new judicial system where ordinary members of the public will help to judge serious court cases. Louise Watt reports.
2, 1, 请揭幕!
Judicial authorities welcoming a new court system they hope will raise public trust in the system. Beginning this year, ordinary people will be sitting on the bench alongside court judges.
可以说是司法跟人民进一步沟通对话的这个开始。
Tens of thousands of people have already received notifications they've been selected to sit as citizen judges. Most Taiwanese aged 23 and over will be eligible to be called up. The system will be first used in murder trials. And from 2026, citizen judges will also sit in trials for other serious offences, where the punishment is at least 10 years imprisonment. Xu Zongli, the president of the Judicial Yuan, was at the system's launch ceremony on Tuesday. He said that under the programme, all legal professionals, including judges and lawyers, would have to talk in a language that ordinary people can understand. Xu also hailed the new system as a milestone in Taiwan's legal history.
我们基本上呢，应该是人民没有机会直接行使行政权，但是透过国民法官制度，人民呢你就有机会直接来行使司法权，所以这也是一种直接民主的一个展现。
There's a lot riding on this new system. More than half of Taiwanese say they do not believe in the credibility of the judiciary. That's according to a survey released in May 2022 by the opposition Kuomintang-affiliated National Policy Foundation. On the streets of Taipei, citizens thought the new system could address this lack of trust.
会有人说什么恐龙法官这样子的一个言论出现，那可能就是对于法官的，就是判定不是很满意。那因为毕竟立场不一样，对，那所以我觉得国民法官这个可能可以让年轻人的声音更被听到，这样子。
我觉得这还蛮不错的啊，对，因为国民法官的话会让一般的民众来参与嘛，那可以增加多一点的观点，然后来让这个一个案件有比较不同的角度去切入。
Judicial authorities on Tuesday also unveiled a stamp to mark the start of the citizen judge system. Worth about 90 US cents, it shows a bench with 6 citizen judges and 3 career judges, the makeup of the new system. Here on the streets of Taipei and around the country, whether the public will give their stamp of approval to the new system depends on how smoothly it works and how much confidence it inspires. Leon Lien and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Ground staff at Taiwan's main international airport have gone on strike to protest perceived low pay and annual bonuses. Leslie Liao brings you more on what the strikers are asking for and how the protests might play out.
Chen Yu is the chairman of Evergreen Airline Services, or EGAS. His face is covered with sweat as he helps move luggage at Taoyuan International Airport, Taiwan's main travel hub. It's not every day you see the chairman of a company work the front lines, but EGAS staff, which handle ground crew operations for sister company and Taiwan's second largest airline, EVA Airways, spontaneously went on strike over New Year's weekend. Employees collectively took annual leave in protest. Chen says he has no choice but to get to work and help solve the most urgent problems. But for EGAS employees, the problem is low pay and poor management. EGAS does not have its own labor union, So TaiwanPlus caught up with EVA Airways labor union rep Huang Siting to learn more about the e-gas workers' plight.
Actually, it is a spontaneous protest, so the workers are not well organized. But as far as I know, I think a raise in salary and year-end bonus and better management style and replenishment of workforce are their main should be their main demands.
Huang doesn't think e-gas officials have attempted to reach out to workers.
We only see the chairman. They went to the airport and handling the luggages themselves. Other than that, I don't see any. They just say that the salary or the year-end bonus is fair.
And he doesn't think the government has been proactive in resolving the dispute.
The Minister of Transport just asked the workers in e-gas to send to negotiate with the company. But well, I think the company is very stern. They are not likely to give in to much of the demands by the e-gas workers.
E-gas workers have started to return to work, but that doesn't mean they're happy. They don't rule out the possibility of staging another strike over the Lunar New Year holiday. Huang thinks it's more likely than not.
Well, it is very likely. Actually, last year there's also a lot of taking day off on the national holidays. So it is a long-time problem. It's not just this year. Only this time a lot of air flights are delayed, so it is come to the notice of the general public.
Compared to the rest of the world, Taiwan's borders opened only recently, so the public is eager to travel in and out of the country again. And with the country's biggest holiday season around the corner, ground staff might have the leverage to get what they're asking for. Kama Xu and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's government is preparing a new plan to offer financial assistance to some homeowners. The Interior Ministry is working on a mortgage subsidy program, which is designed to help people on certain levels of income. Details of the initiative haven't been released yet, but it's intended to fight the effects of rising inflation. Taiwan Central Bank raised interest rates 4 times in 2022. This has meant that mortgage holders have to pay an extra $1,100 on average each year. The program would be in addition to an existing rental subsidy budget of almost $1 billion to help people afford housing. It's been nearly 4 months since a magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck eastern Taiwan, but people living near the epicenter are still feeling its effects. Traffic has clogged a key bridge damaged by the disaster, and officials say it will take 4 years to fix it. Stash Butler reports.
Crossing this bridge in the township of Yuli takes time. 2 lanes are closed to traffic and still bear the scars of a recent earthquake. And the road closure is frustrating these local cyclists.
现在那条路我们骑脚踏车很危险，知道吗？能够赶快开放嘛？重做要太久啊，就每一次工程就是做太久啊。
In September, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake shook this rural part of Taiwan. It toppled a local convenience store, derailed a train, and wrecked a local highway. The Uli Bridge, which spans 2 tectonic plates on the east of Taiwan, got off relatively lightly. But officials say it's too dangerous to reopen the bridge just yet. They say they'll need to rebuild it entirely, one side at a time, over the next 4 years. It's a project that will carry a price tag of $130 million.
台东端这边它会有一个交织的问题。那如果在这春节期间当下是刚好碰到有地震的状况的时候，那这个我们可能就是没有办法承担的。
这个本来应该在这个中间的，基本上招来到家，所以哪个西瓜跌当，有可能直接就掉下去了。那如果我现在要再去补墙，要花2亿多，而且其实还要招标，根本来不及。
Officials are asking for patience, but the lengthy roadworks means for locals here the after effects of September's quake will still be felt for at least the next 4 years. Klein Wang and Stash Butler for TaiwanPlus.
Former NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen arrived in Taiwan on Tuesday morning. Rasmussen, who also previously served as Denmark's prime minister, is visiting the country for 3 days. He's scheduled to meet President Tsai Ing-wen and other political leaders. Rasmussen now heads up the global nonprofit, the Alliance of Democracies Foundation. It is the first official visit by a former NATO Secretary General to Taiwan. Taiwan is introducing stricter COVID-19 restrictions on people entering the country from China. Starting Friday, passengers transiting through Hong Kong and Macau must present either a recent negative PCR, or rapid test before boarding their flights. The new rule comes amid major COVID outbreaks across China. Taiwan began testing arrivals from across the strait on Sunday, with almost 30% of tests coming back positive. Travelers who test positive must spend at least 5 days in quarantine. South Korea's antitrust regulator is imposing a $2.2 million fine on electric car manufacturer Tesla. The Korean Fair Trade Commission says that the U.S. company did not tell customers about the shorter driving range of its vehicles in low temperatures. Tesla is owned by Elon Musk, the world's second richest man. The company reported profits of over $3 billion in the last quarter of 2022.
자사 전기차의 주행 가능 거리, 슈퍼차저 충전 성능, 연료비 절감 금액에 대하여 거짓 과장 또는 기만적으로 광고하였습니다.
Taiwan's pandemic block on international cruise ships ended in October last year, but the industry is not optimistic about business getting back to normal in 2023. Jeremy Olivier has this report.
Cruises are back in Taiwan, sort of. Taiwan lifted its COVID-era ban on international cruise ships in October, but the industry is expecting a comeback of only around 15% of pre-pandemic levels in 2023. That's bad news for businesses around the ports where the ships dock, such as the northern city of Geelong. Many vendors there relied on word of mouth from passengers and crew.
他们觉得好吃，然后他们就上去去推销他们每个人来，就说他们不会讲，就跟大家比的。期待是期待，但是进来不晓得会不会买。
Industry groups predict only about 90 cruise ships will dock around Taiwan in 2023, compared to a high of 600 per year before the pandemic. They say this is because Taiwan opened back up to international travel later than other countries. And Taiwan still requires cruise ship workers to be boosted against COVID and submit to PCR tests.
根据我们的理解，邮轮商还是对于防疫的规定这一块是比较有一些疑虑，包括它的那个船员的一个检测等等，我想这一块都还有空间可以来做讨论。
Taiwan expects its first international cruise arrivals of the new year in early March. It's a welcome return, but some fear the slow trickle of ships into the country's ports won't be nearly enough to kickstart the industry back into life. Chen and Jeremy Olivier for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's pineapple flower harvests are in peril this year thanks to poor weather conditions. While this would already be bad news for local farmers, the situation is made even worse as consumers are being hit with rising inflation. Reinhold Kilpatrick has this report.
The recent weather in the heartland of Hualien on Taiwan's east coast has been cold and wet, and this has created a prickly issue for local pineapple farmers ahead of a critical sales period. The poor weather conditions have caused blemishes on the fruit's flowers. Farmers are afraid that these slight defects could damage sales over the Lunar New Year. Pineapple flowers are a popular decoration in Taiwan during the New Year period. That's why their appearance is so important. And since their fruit is smaller than pineapples grown to be eaten, they have few other uses.
那现在如果说凤梨花不能卖，除了这个凤梨花的市场的损失之外，当然我们因为这个凤梨本身没有很大颗，所以它即便做加工果能够收入的还是比较有限的。
20 tons of pineapple flowers are estimated to have been affected in the region, which supplies some 90% of the nation's pineapple flowers. Farmers had already been reeling from a 2021 ban on Taiwanese pineapples by China, which previously accounted for 97% of the fruit's export.
凤梨花它的灾害补助是1公顷9万元，但这些还是要经过农委会来核定，然后希望也能够帮忙提醒农友，如果农作物有受损的状况，请尽快来提报公所。
Days of rain followed by sunshine await Hualien for the lead up to the new year. This is likely to worsen the damage. For farmers, it's a year and a half of wasted effort. And it comes at a particularly bad time. Across Taiwan, consumers already struggling with inflation will have to pay more for their pineapple flowers. For many, this could be seen as an inauspicious start to the new lunar year. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, we take a look at some exquisite floats in central Taiwan and the artists behind them. Stay tuned.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. U.S. President Joe Biden says Washington is not discussing joint nuclear exercises with South Korea. His comments contradict South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, who said in a newspaper interview that the two sides were discussing drills using U.S. nuclear assets. Yoon has called for, quote, war preparation in response to a record number of North Korean missile tests. Last week, North Korea sent drones into South Korean airspace. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is beginning a 3-day state visit to China, his first since taking office last year. Marcos will meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The two leaders are expected to discuss security and territorial disputes in the South China Sea. China has increased its military presence in the region over the last decade. Last week, satellite images revealed that the country was building new artificial islands there. The Philippines brought an arbitration case against China's claims in the South China Sea to the UN, with the international body ruling in Manila's favor in 2016. But Beijing has rejected the ruling, which it says is not legally binding. China continues to insist it has sovereignty in the region. For more on how the Philippines is working to enhance its security against China's expansion in the South China Sea, our reporter Jaime Okan spoke with Aaron Matthew, an independent security analyst based in Washington, D.C.
With Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. set to visit Chinese President Xi Jinping, so many experts are saying that disputes in the South China Sea will be front and center and definitely on the agenda. What do you think will come out of this meeting?
So concerning past trends we've seen with Philippine presidents, we probably should expect the typical approachment to this issue. The Philippines would love to have a peaceful resolution to this, especially legal, considering the Philippine capabilities and our policies with approaching South China Sea issues are pretty lenient towards China. Just because of there's no capabilities to actually deter Chinese aggression with maritime militia, the Philippine Navy is not capable enough, and a lot of these claims are just being trampled by the Chinese, to be frankly.
In terms of the Philippines taking what measures it can to ensure security, how has the Philippines been trying to manage this sort of security environment?
I think regarding security, the stage has already been set regarding closer cooperation with partners and allies. We've seen talk of a visiting forces agreement with Japan, which is a very big deal because so far there's been only visiting agreement with the Australia and the United States. This agreement would allow Japanese troops to cooperate closer and actually come to the Philippines to train in more intense exercises outside traditional humanitarian and disaster relief drills they usually do. Japan has been actually extremely instrumental for helping out Philippine maritime security. Since 2016, the Japanese, through JICA, have provided the Philippine Coast Guard with around 12 patrol vessels, which is a massive expansion of the Philippine maritime security capabilities. So in order to make it for deficiencies and to help assist Philippine capabilities, they should gradually look more and more towards allies and partners. And this was a big thing we've seen this year.
And there's been reports of the Philippines acquiring a BrahMos anti-ship missile to station around the Philippine Sea. How significant is this?
So this is a really big deal for the Philippines. The Philippine military specifically, this is a first ever capability for them. Anti-ship cruise missiles that will provide a large denial area to any potential adversaries that try to attack or threaten the Philippines. And this also acts as a great deterrent as well. Prior, the Philippines never had this capability, as I previously said, and this leaves a lot on the minds of potential adversaries when approaching the Philippines. Because now, when you approach the Philippines, you need to really consider those missiles. And those missiles are a high-end threat, really. Indian-made, supersonic, and they provide a brand new capability. The first missile battery is expected around next year, and it should be fully operational by 2026. So it's a bit down the line, if you know what I mean. But once that does happen, we could probably gauge how the Chinese view it.
That was Jaime Okan speaking to security analyst Aaron Matthew in Washington, D.C. Ukraine says it killed 400 Russian troops in a New Year's Eve strike on a building in a Donetsk region of occupied Ukraine. Russian officials said only 63 people died, the highest number of deaths acknowledged by Moscow in a single event since the war began. It comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned Russian drone attacks over the new year. 4 people were killed and dozens injured in attacks on several Ukrainian cities. 4 people have died and 3 are in a critical condition after 2 helicopters crashed mid-air on Australia's Gold Coast. The accident happened on Monday afternoon while one helicopter was taking off and the other was landing. The dead include 2 UK nationals and one of the pilots. All those injured were taken to hospital, and officials said. 13 people had been traveling on the 2 helicopters near the marine animal park, SeaWorld. Authorities have launched an investigation into the incident. Beigang Township in central Taiwan's Yunlin County is known locally for floats that bring folklore to life. Leslie Liao brings you the story of Yan Santai, an artist who has devoted his life to making these moving works of art.
On a seemingly normal weekday, a float bearing several mythical and historical figures makes its way down the streets of Beigang Township in central Taiwan. There's the goddess Mazu, protector of seafarers, and the Ming Dynasty teacher Sun Guangwen, among others. Don't let your eyes fool you, though. These are just actors in costume, but spectators love it. The costumed actors toss small gifts like toys, candy, and flowers to those who pass by. It feels like the mythical figures are giving out their divine blessings. Such is the beauty of Taiwan's folklore floats.
然后小孩子装扮，然后化妆化得很漂亮，然后装扮历史人物在上面这样子，让游客、让我们香客来观赏这样子。
Bringing folklore to life is a specialty of Beigang's float culture. The floats themselves are exquisite and intricate. Some of the most renowned floats are the work of local artist Yan Santai. Yan's workshop might seem unimpressive from the outside, but on the inside, it's anything but. It contains all manners of props, machines, and tools for the artist to make his vision a reality.
这台艺术的造型是以寺庙的建筑的方式。
Yan doesn't just make the floats look pretty, though. He also breathes life into them.
因为我是读机械的啦，所以对这个物件我拢较做久啊，拢会晓啦，拢家己爱想，讲这个爱安怎做较有看头，爱安怎有变化。
Yan has devoted his whole life to making these extravagant floats. He even lost part of a finger to his art.
这无说你去有正等，因为这个咧做这物件吼，有当你穿起来，迄个你袂赴通切，袂赴通扭开，你个一下就劈一个断去。
Despite losing a piece of himself, Yan has been recognized for his lifetime of dedication. The local government has declared him a living treasure for his expertise in creating these floats. That's no easy achievement, considering Yan quite literally brings the mythical to life. Andy Xue and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
A well-known documentary director has released his latest work, which features performance arts being staged across Taiwan's coastlines. The filmmakers hope the documentary will prompt viewers to consider the connection between the country's people and the surrounding ocean. Eric Gout reports.
Filmed in black and white, where land meets the sea. On the beaches of Taiwan, these dancers are acting out a series of performances for a new film. Called Sea Spray, this is not a traditional documentary. Director Ke Jingyuan's vision combines various artistic methods to address the island nation's relationship with the water that surrounds it.
很多的二元对比、隐喻哈，然后在隐喻里面会有很多的资讯在里面啊。譬如说，我们芭蕾舞者在水泥消波块上面做表演，那是一个很了无生机的一个环境，然后有很优美的那个表演艺术工作者在上面跳芭蕾舞，那这就是一个很极端的二元对比。
A veteran of Taiwan cinema, Ke has a history of addressing environmental issues in his films. Sea spray was shot on various coastlines across Taiwan. The production team said they made a particular effort to form emotional connections with each location, which in turn helped to develop the performances.
历程即是创作，感受我们的身体在这个滩地里头是怎么样，透过当海水带着我们身体的时候，我们身体是怎么走的？那所以如果你可以安静下来去感受这块滩地，它是非常有力量的，它自然会带着我们身体走出它应该要有的身体的创作。
Sea spray differs from Ke's other films as it uses cross-disciplinary methods to integrate the art with the environment. The team hopes the documentary can help Taiwan's audiences develop a closer understanding of their connection with the ocean and reflect on the bond between people and the natural world that surrounds them. Andy Xue and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we leave you with images of maple leaves turning red in central Taiwan. I'm Betty Chen. Take care and see you next time.